we have our Tom Swift catch up. It's a mini one compared to Riverdale, but again, it's one of my favorite shows on the CW, and a lot has happened for Tom. I was well, we have two episodes to cover, but I will say just the most recent episode, he seems to have gotten better about interacting with his
Mm-hmm.
team. And I wonder if it's because his mom let him in on the Tubman group situation. And so now everybody knows about what's going on with his dad.
Mm-hmm. And I think we did mention, wasn't it, at the end of the fifth episode that there were character issues there. And maybe now looking back, that was intentional to set up those two episodes because that was definitely a journey for him. And he got there. Those episodes did the most, I tell you. We thought watching Superman and Lois and Tom Swift back to back was intense. Watching Tom Swift and Tom Swift back to back is very intense.
Right?
Because they had that whole what Alice in Borderlands, Squid Game, Saw situation going on, it was wild that it was Lorraine the entire time.
Yeah,
I didn't see the twist coming.
I know we said Lorraine was such an interesting character, and maybe it's just because I know the actress from Supergirl where she played more of a colonel military role, but I definitely got those like elements from Lorraine as well, and that she was very composed and wanted her son to be the best that he can be, and she was written as an obstacle on many occasions. But even with all of that, I did not see that twist coming. I was like, what? When she revealed herself.
There were so many moments in these last two episodes that had me shaken. In the most recent one, I don't remember his name, but it's the politician guy that Zenzi kind of
Eskol.
Eskol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When that, I don't know anybody's name. There was that new character that came in.
Quinn.
Yeah. No.
It's not Quinn? He's new. They're new, sorry.
The woman that came in to replace like Claire or something.
Who was like
intense.
Oh yeah.
And there was that scene with the car and the person in the trunk. I was like, I wasn't expecting that to happen. And she filmed it all.
Yeah.
He didn't. I don't understand why Eskol didn't expect that though. Like, sir, you have a whole knife, and you don't think she's recording you right now behind you?
He didn't even like turn around and like see that, right?
No,
he didn't.
That's going to get played out of context, and that's going to be his own doing.
So loud because I don't know what's going to happen next, but she sure seemed like she knew what was going to happen next.
She did. So what's interesting, I think, like you have Eskol and Rowan, who I'm trying to pin down, like, do you believe in the road back? Or did you at once believe in the road back and now you can't leave? Like, what is going on with you two? Because they're both like, Rowan is interested in Tom, but is doing the most when it comes to playing both sides. And Eskol is doing the exact same thing as he tries to court Zenzi, but clearly his feelings are real. So I'm just like, there's too much of this enemies to lovers between both ships that have me like, I need y'all to please give us the line because I'm stressed. I don't know whether to trust them or not.
Yeah, and I of the two storylines, it was the Eskol one that surprised me the most. I was pleasantly surprised because he's been written in a very like flat kind of like sleazy corporate corrupt politician who's clearly in charge of the movement here, and that episode did the most to undo that, and that you see, his feelings are actually real. He's not the top dog. He's just maybe a lieutenant in a big wider scheme. There are other people above him that he answers to. So that was that was an impressive twist. And he saved Zenzi, and he was nice, and he apologized for what happened in the house in their death in the previous episodes. So that was nice. But then almost too soon, he's done something he can never come back from. So it feels like even though he's not this main villain that we all need to be worried about, he is still, I don't want to say total, it feels like they moved him from redeemable to back to irredeemable very, very quickly. And I suppose that's very, very good because the show is very intense like that. But it'll be interesting to see where they go from here on out, because he's not the top dog now, and there are other things in play here. But will he continue to be that presence? Will they still suspect that he's the main threat? So, I don't really know what to make of that episode. A lot went down, and I have a lot of conflicting feelings about it. But I did enjoy that arc anyway.
I was really shocked too that there's only 3 episodes left. There's only 10. Did we know that it was going to be 10?
Oh, I forgot it was 10. I cannot believe we only have 3 episodes left.
I know when they said 3 episodes left, I was like, I must have made up 13 episodes in my head.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I can't. They have so much to do though. Then because
We're ending on a cliffhanger. It's
Mhm.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
they did say that.
confirmed. Well, I mean, I did they say that? That's my
Oh wait, I'm gonna
reading.
assume you're right. Yeah, I would assume as
Because I
well.
mean, it was filmed before they got canceled.
True. Okay, now I'm sad.
Yeah.
But they one of the great things that they do in Tom Swift is they also see it in history.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of times tragic history, unfortunately. But Lorraine's talked to Tom about what happened to his sister Alexandria, because of a doctor whose racial bias kept her from
Mhm.
getting the medical attention that she needed. And then her finding out that no, this is a thing that happens to a lot of Black women. That's the whole, I want to say that's the impetus for the Mountaintop Project that'll establish a colony in assuming on Saturn, for Black people to have a safe haven against white supremacy. Like that whole last sequence, I was like, I got goosebumps. I was shaking. It was like such a great moment, especially when Tom's like walking down the hall and you see all these pictures
Mhm.
of different figures, Black figures in American history, and they showed Bayard Rustin. And I was like, yes, give that man his due. They've been doing it a lot more now. In fact, I think it's Netflix that's going to be doing a series starring Coleman Domingo as Bayard Rustin, which, by the way, he was like for those who don't know who are listening, he worked very closely with Martin Luther King Jr. During the civil rights movement. He was very impactful in his position, but he was also gay. So he was not given his due. I believe they wanted him not to be so much in the forefront, and Martin wouldn't have it, and neither would Coretta, because we're trying to liberate everybody. Everybody means everybody. So I don't know. I really like that choice. I know I love this show. I love this show so much.
Something I forgot to say at the top, and this doesn't have to do with the content of the series, but I wanted to mention it. Justice for Ashley Murray. It just feels like
Yeah,
once again she got the short end of the stick from this network. That's all in the sentence and the sentiment. I love her, and yeah, it's a bummer that she got canceled again on this network.
it is, and she's killing it every episode.
Yep.
She has. I when I started the second most recent episode, it was the first one I watched as the news came out, and the episode opened with her, and that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, "Oh, not again," because yeah, they did it to Lucy Hale. Now they're doing it to Ashley Murray. Oh, justice for her.
I know, this is why I want them to be able to pick up the show. Like it's very important, of course, but also I want Ashley to thrive on a show that clearly enjoys letting her flourish.
Mhm.
Like
And I
she's
think,
so many worthy storylines.
yeah, and I think the show can really benefit from not being on a network.
Mhm.
They can really like not just push the envelope, as I like to say, they can open it a little bit.
Yes, they can. I think God, there's just so much work they're doing on Tom Swift for all of the characters. I do think sometimes, obviously, in a first season, some of the ways that we get to certain plot points don't really get the due that they deserve, just because there's 10 episodes. But like Lena and Lorraine's argument was really good, and then
Mhm.
then he says, "I call you out, Lorraine, but I know you're really my mom." I was like, that wasn't earned, but I
Mhm.
appreciate I appreciate the moment between the two of them. And what was I going to say? Oh, one of my favorite moments, by the way, is well, two, when we get all this backstory about Isaac and how he came in to work for the family. And when he comes, like when Barton and Lorraine are going off to church, and they're like, yeah, Tom said he was going to be working on something. Tom is not working.
Oh my gosh.
and Isaac has to send all those men out that room. He's like, no, leave. It's over. He's like, you're hanging out with boys. You don't have friends. Like boys in underwear is what he said. And I was like, oh, not Isaac being like, get better friends.
I
And he
mean,
did. He did in the end, didn't he?
He did.
It all paid off.
Where
They
was the
did.
lie?
There were no lies, especially because that's like Tom, you letting them steal from you too. It's one thing for y'all to be
Mhm.
partying together. I mean, that's fine. That's whatever you want to do, but they're stealing from you, sir. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not friendship.
that really struck me. That, and you can see how that friendship was formed now. The fact that Isaac wasn't afraid to stand up to him and said all the good things he could do with his money. And I feel like it did. The show definitely portrayed it like that was pivotal, not just for Isaac, but for Tom. That friendship, and like then it was always nice seeing how the jarring of how it flashed back from the past scene into the present, and to see how they did ultimately become such a great duo.
I know. I love everybody in this show. I also love, I'm still a shipper for Zenzi and Isaac, even though, I got a little ping on the heart when she came running for him and he was having a moment with Tom. And I was like, oh, it's definitely a slow burn. I'm still rooting, but it's a slow burn.